All right, TJ. Lions right now sitting at 7-2, playing the 3-7 Bears, trying to get to 8-2. Obviously, this game is going to be at Ford Field. There's, again, some injury concerns for the Detroit Lions. Not major concerns, but Jonah Jackson, as we learned yesterday, which was Wednesday, that he missed practice, a wrist issue. How big of a deal is that going up against the Chicago Bears?
Yeah, God, I feel like Jonah just can't catch a break, man. Right? He had that ankle injury and seemed to be pretty healthy coming out of the bye week, and then injures his wrist. I don't know. I mean,
was this a practice injury?
No, I think it happened during the game. And I saw him after the game in LA, and you could tell something was bugging him a little bit, right? But he finished the game. So anytime you do that, I think there's a little more optimism that, okay, it's not a, serious injury. But with Jonah, I don't know. I mean, it all depends on the wrist, man. Like I broke my wrist my rookie year, and it hurt like a bitch, man. And I didn't know what was going on. It was kind of a hidden fracture, so we didn't know for about a month. And every time you're punching and grab, it's just like, man, it's just not right. And it sucks. It's painful to play through. So I don't know about Jonah. I mean, if he doesn't practice again, probably today and Friday, I think that, with Dan Campbell and the training staff over there, if you don't practice during the week, you're probably not playing. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that the next couple of days, see how that unfolds. But it's like we feel like we're just getting back, man. We're just getting healthy, right? And then it's like, oh, shit. And like we said, I don't think it's a devastating injury. But if I had to guess right now, I would say probably trending towards not going to be available for you Sunday. And whether that's a decision that's medical, coaching, who knows? Because we obviously know that this is a quick turnaround. They're going back right next week and playing on Thanksgiving. So we know that this team, hey, if you get nicked up a little bit, they want guys for the long haul. So good news is, that offensive line's got plenty of depth. A lot of guys, a lot of experience, especially this year. And whoever steps in, I'm sure will be expected to maintain the high level of play that we saw last week in LA.
Well, we saw that matchup, and obviously we talked about that with Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. This week, it's kind of a very similar matchup, for this offensive line. Defensively, you got Yannick Ngakoue, you got Montez Sweat, who a lot of us wanted here in Detroit. He ends up in Chicago in the division, gets a new contract, but it's TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, the two linebackers that they signed in free agency. What type of advantages can the Lions create when looking at this Chicago Bear defense?
Well, I think the one thing that sticks out when you turn on the Bears defense is the alignment. They play wide, man, wide 3 techs, wide 9 techniques. And naturally, I mean, your eyes just kind of go to, hey, we got to run the ball up the middle. Might be hard to get to the edge today. And we know that the Lions, Ben Jansen, they like to utilize formation and motion to try to help out with some of those stretch plays and some of those toss plays to create an edge. But that's the first thing I look at. This Bears defense, it's really their D-line, the front 7. I mean, TJ Edwards, a guy who's, I think he's got 115 tackles and 10 games. I mean, he flies all over the place. He's all over the place. He's a tackling machine. I'm looking at it, and their front 4, man. These guys, you look at, okay, you're like, you got Montez Sweat. I mean, played last week. It was a Thursday game. You go back and rewatch that game. He can have an impact. He's a long-armed guy, long leg, just long levers. Kind of not a quick twitch guy, but he can get on fast. You. He can get on you in a hurry, man, and he can get his arms in your chest and create some havoc. But they play hard, like they do, man. There's a lot of high effort when you turn on that film, and maybe not, nobody's accusing them of being a top 3 defensive line, but effort-wise, man, that's how they make plays. Like, they are just relentless. They don't give up. And they do have some players that can hurt you. I mean, the one kid I like a lot, Justin Jones. He's number 93, I think it is.
Yeah.
Plays tackle. A 3 tech. He's quick. He's powerful. I mean, there's probably 4 or 5 plays a game where he's getting in the backfield in a hurry and making plays. They move a lot. They do a lot of slants. They do a lot of stunts. They do a lot of games, 2-man game, 3-man game. That sometimes, John, can confuse you, especially when you get in that zone offenses. You got to make sure you're right with your calls. You got to make sure, if I think this guy's slanting inside, I got to call for my zone. I got to call for my double team because I don't want to get beat on the inside, and potentially have a disastrous play. But they play hard, man. And I'll tell you, like, it's not going to be an easy game offensively in my mind. Anytime you get in these divisional games, Very, I think rarely is it like a blowout type of game or, a 40, like what we saw last week, a 41-38 type of game. I mean, these are generally more low scoring, just because you know each other well. Like, you're not really fooling each other out there.
Yeah.
You're dialed in with the game plan. It really just comes down to who executes better. But, with the Lions, man, I know that offense, especially coming off that Chargers game, that's something they've been waiting for, to have a performance where everything's rolling. Run game's rolling, offensive line's protecting, pass game's great. The routes, everything is rolling. And it'll be interesting to see how they carry on that momentum, because I feel like, man, that's all that offense needed, maybe to get a little kick in the ass and a jump start to playing to their full potential. It'll be interesting this week to see how they follow it up.
Well, we know in the past game, they do have an extra weapon that they tried to add, or that they did add at the trade deadline. Do you think we'll see Donovan Peoples-Jones active and a part of this offense this week?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him out there. I don't know in what capacity. I mean, I think that, wide receiver is a difficult position to kind of catch on to the terminology, and maybe the alignment is different than what you did, in Cleveland. Maybe the split's a little different, the technique, the fundamentals. Every coach is kind of different. That takes time. And it takes time to develop chemistry with your quarterback, right? He's only been here for a week. He missed a couple practices last week. I mean, who really knows realistically how many, passes he's caught from Jared Goff? I wouldn't be surprised to see him out there, probably in a limited role to at least start out. I wouldn't expect to see him go out there and play maybe more than, 20 snaps on offense. I think he's still kind of in that acclimation period. But if he's a guy I'm sure they're excited about. And when you have a guy like that, you get anxious to see what he can do, right? So I wouldn't be surprised, if he's out there. Maybe the first series they try to get him just a quick slant or a quick wide receiver screen that we know Ben Jansen loves to call, and just to see what he can do, right? Because I think you're excited about his potential, but right now you just really don't know how he's going to help and in what capacity he's going to help. But sounds like he's been pretty healthy this week. And if he's healthy leading up to, game day on Sunday, I definitely wouldn't be surprised to see him out there in a limited role.
The Bears are going to get Justin Fields back. They came out yesterday and said he's going to be their starting quarterback. The thumb that he injured is not 100%, but they feel it's good enough for him to go out there and play. And I think he does give them a better look, a better opportunity than, was it Taylor Bagent?
Tyson
Bagent. I was wrong on both ends, but I think
0 for 2.
He does not the last time. Bagent, he's more of a pocket guy. He can get outside, but he doesn't run like Justin Fields. And Justin Fields last year against the Lions rushed for over 100 yards both times. I still think the Lions win this game. I think they control it, but this is going to be a good opportunity for them to figure out how do they limit a mobile quarterback.
Yeah, and Justin Fields coming off of, what was it, a hand injury?
A
thumb injury, right? So maybe I was in the right vicinity. It was a hand. I don't know. I mean, will that kind of be in the back of his head to slow him down, where he says, okay, I don't really want to run and take too many shots, especially when you're just coming back healthy. Yeah. You're just getting your feet back under you. I don't know. You look at the film, and even the first, I think he started the first 6 games. I think he got hurt in the 6th game. Kind of started out the season as like pocket passer, like I'll run a little bit. They were trying to
make him something he wasn't.
Right, I'll run around a little bit on 3rd down if I have to create something. But I think that even they still want him to be a true quarterback, right? They don't want to take away his complete athleticism, but he was his first 3 games compared to the last 3 games were incredible. I mean, he went literally from looking like a guy that could have been benched to, I can't remember the split, but it was like 12 touchdowns and 1 interception.
Right,
like
it was
the last,
a Thursday night game,
games.
I believe, against Washington. That he went off, and he went
dominated.
off early.
Yeah, and a guy that they obviously, got over in the trade in the offseason, DJ Moore.
Yeah.
DJ Moore's first 3 games had 198 receiving yards. The last 3 games Justin Fields played, he had 412.
Yeah.
1 touchdown those first 3 games, 4 touchdowns in the last 3. So they developed a little bit of a connection too before Justin got hurt. I'll tell you the one thing about, Justin Fields is he is He's a dynamic player. I think he's still trying to figure it out when it comes to the, true kind of quarterback play of the NFL. But man, he still gets hit a lot. And you look at their offensive line, a lot of young guys, right? Both tackles are young. The inside guys are young, guys that are kind of inexperienced. Nate Davis, a guy who's been around at guard, but, it's not a good offensive line, in my opinion. In those 6 games that Justin Fields played, he was sacked 24 times. And that's 4 times a game. And he didn't even finish that 6 games. So you could say probably 5 or 6 times a game, right? So I kind of look at those matchups and I say, look, Justin Fields is probably going to have 1 or 2 runs on a third down where you lose contain. And it's like, man, like it was, 3rd and 8, can't happen, right? He's just that type of player. I just think you have to, you cannot let him beat you with his arm. Right, you cannot let him be a dual threat quarterback. You have to limit him, to force him into his weakness. I think, which is pressuring him, which is making him throw those bad throws that we've seen for a majority part of his career. I'm excited to see what this defense rebounds with. I think that we kind of hit on it Monday's show. Every time they've kind of had a game where it's like Baltimore, right? Yeah. Seattle earlier in the season, they bounce back. Like they have an attitude where they bounce back.
And Keenan Allen, that was obviously the number one, hookup. And Keenan Allen's a special receiver. Now he's not what he was maybe 3 years ago, but he went out there and had a great game. This is one of those where you've got a clear number one in DJ Moore. Do you just put Cam Sutton on him and say, go for it?
I mean, I think with a guy like DJ Moore, you have to try to bracket somehow. I don't think single coverage is a great strategy against him, just because he's fast, man. He flies, and honestly, I don't think you're really looking at any of our defensive backs and saying, man, they can fly. These guys are 4-2 guys.
No, but they're better when they're in man coverage than they are in zone. We've talked about that a number of times with like Jerry Jacobs. And the fact that, you put him in the zone coverage and he's just not the same player as he is in man.
Yeah, they're better, I think, in press coverage. That's where, especially a guy like Jerry Jacobs, that's where he wants to live. He wants to be that bulldog, just put me in a cage and, man, I'm just going to box, I'm just going to run with you. I'm going to hit you. I'm going to be physical. That's his style of game. I think when you look at a guy like DJ Moore, you could say, yeah, sure, put Cam Sutton on him, but you also need somebody over the top, I think, too. So that's where I'm saying I think you have to bracket a guy like that. You can't let him just go out there and, have a Justin Jefferson type of game where it's 12 catches and 190 yards, or even a Keenan Allen game we saw last week. Yeah. You can't let that guy do that because that really is, at least when Justin Fields was playing the last couple games, that was their offense. Get the ball to DJ Moore, and good luck type attitude. So I know Aaron Glenn will have a plan for that. I know the defensive backs are probably have a pretty taste in their mouth still from last week's game. But like I said, I mean, I'm optimistic because every time they've kind of had one of those games where, things didn't go our way, they find a way to bounce back. And this feels like a game. This defensive line has to make an impact, right? You have to. This is a matchup. You get back home. It's a matchup with their offensive line that I think really across the board, I don't think there's any, scenario where you're looking and saying, that's probably a wash. Maybe we should put him over here. And I think that anybody on 3rd down, 2 minutes type situation, that this defensive line should be able to have a day. And I'm sure that they're probably motivated as well, right? Yeah. I mean, with the news just yesterday, signing a veteran pass rusher, Bruce Irvin, who has played a lot of really good football in this league. Now we know he's going to start on the practice squad and, prove that he can get back into football shape before they throw him out there. But man, that's got to wake your ass up a little bit, doesn't it? If you're in that defensive line room saying, hey man, they're looking outside for help. There's only one reason why they're doing that. We ain't getting the job done. Right. So I think when you combine kind of all those, kind of non-tangibles, for me, it sets up for a really good opportunity for this defense to have a great day.
So do the Lions get 8-2?
I think they do. Yeah, I do. I don't think, and like I said, I mean, I don't expect this to be a game like last year where I think it was like 45-10 when the Bears came to town.
Right here, but it was 31-30, I think, there.
Right, yeah, the first time they played them, it was tight. I think it's going to be maybe one of the tighter games. I think this offense continues to find a way to roll. I'm going to say I'm feeling probably a 34-24 type of game. which is,
double-digit win.
Double-digit win. Not going to be one of those games where we're, Teddy Bridgewater's out there in the fourth quarter, I don't think. But I think that this team is they're different. These are games that really shouldn't stress about. These are games that, just, hey, we got to go out there, stick to our fundamentals, keep doing what we're good at, and take care of business. Because this could be a game where if you don't have the right type of mindset or attitude, you're looking at, we got a 3-7 team. They can punch you in the face real fast.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure that, your chin strap's buckled up and you're ready to go. You're doing the right things. But yes, I do think this is a game that this Detroit Lions team will handle in the appropriate way.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, on Monday, next week, obviously short week, the quick turnaround for Green Bay on Thanksgiving Day. We'll come back on Monday and give you a rundown of what happened on Sunday against the Bears. Hopefully they are 8-2, and we're looking at this this Thanksgiving Day game here in Detroit differently than we have been in past years. No matter what happens on Sunday, we'll be looking at it differently than we have in past years. So make sure you stay tuned in here on Necessary Roughness. Monday, as I mentioned, we'll give you a breakdown of the game, and we'll give you a quick look ahead as well in that one, because it is a short week, of what the Lions are expecting against Green Bay. Thanks for listening to Necessary Roughness.